Welcome back to the podcast. This is called Real Estate Unfiltered. And the reason why is because this is the truth about real estate. This is not the facade. This isn't the $1 million showing. And then you just walk up to the house and they're like, yeah, my house is worth $50 million. I want you to take it. I want you to list it. This isn't where people just one day wake up and be like, hey, I want to have a house and I have a house. This is what goes on behind the scenes, the struggles, the truth, the journey, and everything. I have a good friend of mine. I actually met this gentleman from another friend, and this is what I talk about. Relationships are key because when you meet like-minded people, they connect you to more like-minded people, and that's how you guys build. You don't build something by yourself. You build it together with the team. So I have this gentleman. His name is Devontae. Devontae, introduce yourself.
Yes, Michael. First of all, just want to say I appreciate you, man, for the connection and just bring it to take it to the next level. But yeah, my name is Devontae Mallard, realtor. I'm actually licensed in Connecticut, and actually started in real estate in 2000, I want to say 16 around there. But I've been doing it ever since. Loving it.
You see how small and big the world is. This gentleman's from Connecticut. So if you're listening to the podcast, as you know, I'm in New York. We had someone who's yesterday, well, last episode, we had someone else who was Connecticut. We had someone else who's also in Jersey. So as you can see, the network is growing. We have realtors who are in different states and they all specialize in different things. And like I always say, if you feel like you listen to the podcast and you relate to Devontae and you want to work with him, it is okay. We are real people. This is our actual business. We do not mind the DMs hitting us up, asking us questions. Devontae, shoot out your Instagram real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. You can follow me on Instagram, Mallard Dynasty, Mallard Dynasty Dynasty on Instagram. And also you can follow me on my own personal page too as well, which is Knowledge KNOWL3DGE underscore on Instagram as well. Follow me on Facebook, Devontae Mallard, LinkedIn, Devontae Mallard, pretty much the whole nine.
See,
I'm everywhere. I'm everywhere, baby.
That's it. I feel like that's a big thing that I noticed with the realtors, at least the ones who are really trying to take this thing serious. They realize social media is already here. It's like whether you like it, you don't, it's here. And one of the quickest ways to get new clients is to have a social media because before they even message you, they'll do what I call the snooping. They'll be on your page looking like, let me see what he posts. Let me see if he really about it. And I feel like, especially in real estate, that's where the facades actually starts. I feel like a lot of realtors always show the glitz and glamour. Like they always show, oh yeah, everything's perfect. I just got this house, or the quick house hunting, flipping. I think you do flipping, right?
I don't do flipping, but I'm experiencing it all. You know what I mean? Because of my client, because I specialize in working with a lot of investors. That's my niche. So I have a lot of experience.
Wait, go back.
Yeah,
You heard that word there, niche.
my
A
niche,
lot of
baby.
this is gonna be a good episode. I already feel it in my soul.
Oh yeah,
See, a lot of realtors do that same thing. They want to catch the whole world. Actually, I started off that too. When I was a loan officer, I
oh
wanted
yeah.
every client. I dabbled in trying to do $1 million loans. I wanted to do $1 million listings because the same way from the same thing the way it is with a loan officer. The process doesn't change whether you're selling a $200,000
Nah,
house or you're selling a $10 million house. The process is usually the same. The only thing is probably more documents and it's a little more time including. But at the end of the day, the commission checks jump drastically.
drastically, but the
So
process is
I
still the
wanted
same.
to, yeah, exactly. The story, everything's still pretty much the same. So I did a couple $1 million loans. Thank God I had the opportunity. But I realized my focus, I was throwing my focus all over. I'm like, putting a blindfold on, just throwing darts. So you have no real avenue. It's kind of hard to like, okay, how am I going to get more clients when my clients up here, my clients are here, they're all around. So you can't focus and it's harder to grow a business without the focus. So what makes you want to niche down and get into investments
Yeah, absolutely, bro.
or
Great
investing?
question. Yeah, exactly. Great question. You know what I mean? A lot of it was like you said. Like the saying goes, jack of all trades, a master of none. You know what I mean? Like you can't do it all. The biggest thing is delegating and knowing, like, all right, who can I align with? You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. I work with, the regular consumer. Don't get me wrong. I definitely do that too, and specialize as well. But the biggest thing is it's a language. Oh, I learned this about investments, especially in real estate. It's a different language. You know what I mean? Because certain things you can talk about cap rate, you could talk about your profit margin, you know what I mean? Or like we just talked about before we went live, like the SCR loan, you know what I mean? Things of that nature. And plus, I feel like with investors, it's less emotional, you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, because the thing about it too is like when you're dealing with a regular consumer person, there's a lot more emotion involved. But with an investor, it's less emotional, it's more rational. It's more, all right, these numbers don't make sense, bro. We gotta keep it pushing. You know what I mean? Another thing too as well is like with
100%.
an investor, it's problem solving. Because at the end of the day, with being a realist or anything you do is teamwork. You know what I mean? Teamwork make the dream work.
Mm.
Teamwork make the dream
All
work.
right. You said some good things.
Mm.
So one thing you said that I like, um, I'm definitely a big fan of teamwork. I feel like you said, teamwork makes the dream work. It's 100%. The more people you have, well, the right people that you have around, I'll say that, because the wrong people will drag you down quicker than all the energy that you have that you're moving for it. You go around the right people, the wrong people, and it starts going down like a roller coaster. But the right people will hold you up even when things are going a little trying. But I am gonna have to come for you. That quote, that's not the full quote, my man.
What you mean? Which one?
Jack of all trade is the master
Master
of
of none.
none,
Yeah, yeah,
but
no, hey, let's do it. Talk to me.
oftentimes is better than a master of one. That's
I
the full
feel
quote.
you. I feel you. I feel you.
So
Because I mean,
I feel like everyone, that quote is something that just caught on everyone, like that first part, and they like they skip the ending.
what's the next
But I
part?
do agree with you in that thing. It is, especially for our industry,
Yes.
focusing on one point is very hard. Like even like we were talking about before, the clothing line and stuff like that, how like you wanted to start wearing your own brand on you, and then later down the line you might want to sell it, but it's not something that you're going to put too much focus in right now, but you'll have it building itself organically, because at the end of the day, then every time you divide your focus, that means you have less time to put it into your main business or whatever is actually generating that income.
No, bro, you hit it right on the head. Again, it's a perception piece. You know what I mean? Like you said, because it's
Mhm.
facts. The other half of it is true, but it all comes down to self awareness too, as well. Because if you're doing
Mm.
too much and you spreading yourself too thin, and you can't really, and again, like we talked about before, is like my time is worth more than money. You know what I mean? Like I have two kids and a wife. I have a
Ooh.
family. So it's like I wanted to let some of that bread go because I'm gonna make it back in the future. But with my time and I can't make that back. They don't make time no more. You know what I mean? Like you can't go in and buy time. So it's
Not
like
yet, not yet.
not
I
yet,
think they're
not
working on
yet.
that.
I mean,
They're gonna
yo,
have a
they
car where you
surprising
put
me,
it back
man.
in.
Yo, facts. Because I mean, they surprised with the AI stuff too as well. So I'm not knocking it, but right now, this time period, my time is my money.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So
I agree with it.
yeah,
Devontae, let me ask you a
yes,
question.
yes, sir.
What got you into real estate? Why did you decide, like, hey, you know what? I'm going to start helping people. I'm going to help people get their investments. What made you want to help people essentially get financial freedom or create that generational wealth?
My man, I love these questions, man. Yeah, man, back in 2016, I was really working for a property management company as a lease consultant. So,
Mhm.
I was making them a lot of money just, showing his apartment. I was noticing it's like, it ain't got nothing to do about the product. It's me. And they're buying into me. And the thing is with myself is like, again, come back to that awareness. It's like, all right, it's the relationships like we talked about before. Like you mentioned before, it's the relationships. Me personally, relationships are worth more to me than gold because it brings you and it connects you to another spot you never thought you can be. That money you can spend and it goes. But to go back to it, what got me into the industry was, like I said, I was making a lot. I always had this entrepreneurial mindset. So it's like, I always wanted to be involved in something I didn't know. You know what I mean? Like I was washing cars. I was detailing cars when I was like 14, 15. I was sweeping at the barbershop. So I was like hustling early. So I always had an entrepreneurial mindset, but I just didn't know what it was at the time. And then I came across real estate, when again, I was working for a property management company and I was like, so hungry, so ambitious. I was like, all right. And the thing, mind you, I was comfortable. I was like 20, 21. It was me and my girlfriend, my wife now at the time. And we were living the project. It was fully renovated, had a garage, and I was working and living on site, and I had a 20% discount off my monthly rent. So it was like I could be there and be living good. But I was like, and the biggest thing is for me was like comfort. Nothing grows in comfort. You know what I mean? Because I know me being there, I'm hitting that ceiling. So it's like, all right, we gotta shake things up. So I'm like, all right, me and my wife, we talked. My wife she was working for international companies where she was taking trips to Germany, Mexico, and she was getting paid a lot of good money too as well. And we felt like, this is not it. Like internally, we felt like we had more that we need to accomplish our mission. So I literally, after me and my wife, we agreed on it, put my 2-week notice in, and everybody, even my clients that I got them moved in there, was like, Devontae, you're leaving. I only brought this place or moved in and rented this place because you were here. You know what I mean? So that's the thing. And I was like, you know what? But at the end of the day, I know I could help and service so much more people in that process, because renting compared to owning, that's the first layer of wealth. You know what I mean? Like real estate ain't going nowhere. As long as we alive, somebody gonna need a place to live. So yeah, fast forward. So yeah, so then I pretty much quit and I moved down to Maryland and Virginia, and I just got my license out there, and it was a struggle, man. Like literally, because I ain't know nobody. So literally, I was dropped in the jungle. Like I look at it like this: I was dropped in the jungle. I had to figure out how to survive, me and my wife. And literally, and mind you, Maryland is no joke, because like the sales contract alone is like almost 60 something pages. So, and I failed my real estate state exam like twice. Like I was like, it was crazy. It was the most difficult exam I ever had to study for. And then I was praying. I was like, yo, please God, like I want to work in my path and my mission. If you just help me get through this process, I'm gonna make sure I devote this to my clients and give them
So
all and everything from me.
are you a big believer of a higher power? Because I heard you mention.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. High power, I and I, you know what I mean? Like I'm Jamaican, so a lot of it's just embedded in me. So it's just like the spiritual, I'm very spiritual, I'm very connected. You see I wear crystals on me, so I got crystals everywhere with me. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm just real connected to a frequency, a higher power and energy. Because I don't feel like we got here, for no reason. We have a purpose and a mission here.
So what do you feel like is I guess, your bigger goal, your mission? Because you mentioned that you knew that you had a bigger mission. So what is your mission?
My mission, I feel like, to be honest, I feel like it's just one thing. I feel like it's multiple things. It's like in different seasons. I feel like I have different missions every time I grow or I get exposed to get clarity. So the more I'm connected, I feel like I get to the mission of like, all right, this is where I need to be. But right now, I feel like my biggest mission is within being in real estate, especially with our minorities and our people. We don't own a lot of assets. So I feel like a lot of pieces is the educational piece and walking through that process. And the biggest thing for me is like, it's not about the money. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, you can't live without it. Like J. Cole said, you know what I mean? You can't live without it. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I feel like you can't take it with you. You know what I mean? You can't take it to the afterlife. So it's like, all right, I feel like what's going to get me to the promised land, what's going to get me to past that gate is what I do with righteous intent and leading my clients or anybody I come in contact with a righteous mentality, good intuition, good, and not have to question anything. I feel like money is a tool, but if you let it consume you, it will take you to a different path and you won't be able to fulfill your mission. So I'm using that tool to be able to get me and help my clients get where they need to be. And at the end of the day, be able to create wealth. But the thing is, getting people, a lot of my clients is anybody I come in contact with that get them out of survival mode. Because the only way you're going to be in survival mode if you don't build assets, you don't have anything that you could use to leverage to get you that free time, to get you that time where you could do, that's wealth for me. You know what I mean? To be able to do the things that I want with the people I want when I want. You know what I mean? A lot of
Well,
people
you,
associate that.
you you said a lot of stuff there. I want to go through that.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
the
absolutely.
first thing is you feel like your mission is to help people get back their time and to
Hmm.
get out of scarcity mindset. So for those who don't know, the scarcity mindset is where you see everything as now. You don't see a future because you're like, I don't have enough. I need more. I need more. I need more. So I'm guessing the way you decided to help people get out that mindset is by creating more wealth, which is considered as for time, but also money in the now. And you're doing that by showing them real estate that's going to bring them money. Did I say that right?
Absolutely. Oh, bro, you hit
I
it
got a
right on
fruit
the head.
fly. I got a fruit fly that is annoying the crap out of me. You can't
Nah,
see
he
it on
want
the
that
video,
attention.
obviously the podcast, but this thing is just it sees me talking and it's like, did I get it? No, I
Nah,
missed
it's
it.
on fire. It's right on your shoulder too. You got.
It's not even it, Devontae. Stop teasing me. This little thing just keeps annoying the crap out of me. I got it. All right, let me go wash
Got
my
it.
hands. I'll be right back. Hold
Nah, you
hold
straight
on.
up, man.
Quick break. Quick commercial
Nah,
break.
you good. Yeah, you pause it real quick. I guarantee you, his cousin or his sister gonna definitely fly around. Like they gonna want some more smoke with you.
Yo, I'm telling you this. If another one comes out, I'm gonna be tight. Like,
Yo, I'm
yo,
telling you, they
I don't
coming
even
for
have
you.
any fruits. That's the crazy part. I don't know where they're coming from. I have no fruits
Yo,
in the house. We're going to Costco today to get some
yeah.
fruits, but this man's just coming out of nowhere, just attacking me. And he
And
been
you got
bothering me for
plants.
like 3 days now. Like every time I put the lights on to shoot a video, he's like, "Yo, what's up? You remember
Yeah.
me?"
Yo,
Either that
I
or
want
he's
some
sending his
attention,
cousins.
baby.
I don't know.
Seriously, bro. Hilarious, man. Hilarious.
So I want to ask you another question. All right.
Yeah, man.
Obviously, I'm going to ask you a lot of questions, but
I love it.
what are some misconceptions people have about buying or selling a house?
Oh man. That the biggest thing for me is you could buy a house without a pre-approval. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yo, if
I get that one a lot.
man, I'm like, yo, I gotta explain to them too. Is like, I understand. I respect your hunger and your passion. You know what I mean? To actually, start the process. But we window shopping. We 50 Cent right now.
You're a
You window
window
shopping.
shopper.
Shopper, mad at me. I think I know why.
No
You know what I mean?
why?
Like, so it's like that. I can't. That's the thing. Is like I tell them, like it's like Willy Wonka, bro. We need that golden ticket to get us checked into the game. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Because and the thing is, another thing too that I also tell my clients is like, I can't want this more than you want this. You know what I mean? Like
I
it's a
like
team
that one.
effort.
I
I
like that
can't
one.
because it's a team effort and it's a team. It's not like all right, I could be the best agent in the world, but if I don't have a lender or a lender, because the thing is we can't buy it without no money. So if the lender is not on point and is not up to sound and not communicating with you about the entire process and educating you about the process, then I feel like we gotta find somebody else because the thing is it's gonna hurt your experience. Because me, I look at it like this: I'm the quarterback. You know what I mean? I play football, so it's like I tell them like, and my goal, exactly. I'm moving around the pocket calling audibles. You know what I mean? My goal is to get you into the end zone, which is buying you your house. And the lender is pretty much just as important as the receiver, the tight end, the lineman, whatever case you want to be. And the same thing as an attorney, title company, whatever the case. The biggest thing is how we work together and communicate to get you what the ultimate goal is to get you to the end zone. And if we don't have that, then the experience is gonna be horrible. Not only for me, but for you as the client. So I feel like the biggest thing is to letting the client know the expectation early. And also, bro, I'll be real with you. I fired clients. Like I had experience with firing clients because again, I'm looking at
That's what
bro.
I
Oh
want to talk
yeah,
about. We're gonna
bro.
get into that, but if you want to jump straight into it, we can do it now.
Let's
I feel
let's
like
do it.
that's what this podcast is about. It's not just about. I do want to give a lot of people information, but they need to understand that it is true. People will fire you if they're your realtor. They will fire you. Like, you know what? I just don't want to work with you. Because I remember the first time I told a client no, and this was before. Remember, like before I told you, I wanted all types of clients, and then I slowly
Yeah,
started my focus and figuring out I like first time home buyers or people who are trying to create generational wealth. I love working with them because they have a different level of hunger. I love people
exactly.
who are blue collar workers. I'm talking about your nurses, your doctors, your blue collar cops, firefighters, EMS, like people who are hungry and they're chasing
Yes.
a dream. I won't call it the American dream because that's a whole nother subject, but a bigger dream and goal because everyone's dream is not the same. So I
No.
like that. Like I want more, Malcolm. I know being wealth is the cornerstone of real estate is the cornerstone of wealth, and I love working with those people because they're just different. They're not like I don't call them. I don't want to say time wasters for the other people, but they have a hunger in them that hey, Malcolm, you need this doc. No problem. I'll get it for you tomorrow. Malcolm, I need more income. Let me see if I can get a co-sign. No problem, Malcolm. I'm working 2 jobs to have extra money for my down payment. Like that level of hunger, you can't buy that. And I realize that it gives me a greater gratification. I hate to say selfishly, but I get so proud when I see other people working to achieve their goals that it's like I realize this is for me. So yes, I still do $1 million loans, but it's very rarely, and I don't look for them. I look for people who are doing their own. Like I do $1 million loan for like I did one for a police officer, and that's because he worked his ass off, bought a 2 family, and now he's buying his dream house. So it just happened to be over $1 million. But do you see how it transitions? Because it's a building blocks. So
Mm-hmm.
we're building them up, and now they're ready to go to the next level. And it's just like it's all proud and joy for me. Like I be feeling like I won. Like they begin a house, and I'd be like, oh, like what's up, yo? I'd be so proud because I've seen the progression in them, especially when they don't think they can buy, and then you help them with a game plan. I have this one client now who I'm a little I'm a little saddened by because I still haven't found out a game plan to help her buy yet because she has
Mm.
super high student loans. I'm talking about super high
Yo.
student loans. And even the workarounds that I would normally do to get around student loans, it's just it's not government backed. It's privately owned. They don't want to lower her payment. I was like, let's send them a letter. Let's see if they'll just lower the payment for during the process or something like that. Like based off her income, like they're being ridiculous. And it's like everything that we're doing, not working, not working, not working. So I'm like, I don't know what I'm so stuck at what to do. So, but that's what happens when you get someone who actually cares. Like I actually still think about, mind you, this happened a week ago. I had this conversation with her, but it's still fresh in my mind. Like, I got to figure out a way because I want her to get that I feel like you get a different level of proudness once it's like a
Mm.
badge of honor. Like, you were
Yo.
able to do this. You worked your ass off to get this. And it's like,
Mm.
it
There's no
helps you get
better
to
feeling. It's literally
at
no better
all.
feeling, bro. It's fulfillment because, hey, bro. And the thing is, it's crazy because again, it comes down to the frequency. And we aligned in the energy, like I said, because I get that same feeling. You know what I mean? Because you get that fulfillment because it feel like at the end of the day, and you get caught up. It's a couple of things because you get caught up because it's like, all right, I get so enjoyed by it that I like neglect my time for me to buy and invest in properties. You know what I mean? Because I get so attached to their success. Don't get me wrong, I love that. Don't get me wrong. But also it come down to that balance of all right, I gotta make sure I buy my investments too as well. Because the thing is that fulfillment it's great and you enjoy it and there's no better feeling, especially when you see their story. Because only you, especially as a loan, you seeing the numbers. I'm seeing the client. So it's like between the both of us, we see that real intimate story of where they started and where they ended up at. It was so many times in another client that I have that she literally we got the property in the contract and she could not close because her husband had opened up a timeshare and it affected their credit score together. So she was not able to close, and she was so down, so discouraged. So Devontae, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I said, "Hey, don't worry. We're gonna figure this out. We're gonna get it out. I don't care how long it takes. We're gonna push it. We're gonna get through this together." And long story, and the thing is, what's made for you is made for you. And that house, don't get me wrong, it was what she wanted. But the next house that we got in the contract and she potentially bought was way better. But it was way better, and it aligned. So it's seeing that process and being able to encourage her as if I was encouraging myself, it got her to that finish line. So like that's what and that's how I know my mission. I'm fulfilling my mission because I get that fulfillment and I can sleep good at night knowing that hey, I did this service and she came out on top and got what she wanted. Like and now my client is not longer my client. Now she's part of my family just because of that. And again, that's what I love most about being an agent. And the thing is, I don't look at myself as a average agent. The biggest thing is first I see myself as just a human being first and foremost, but just a hungry entrepreneur and being able to help people that truly deserve and need it. You know what I mean? Because like you said, the ones that's hungry, that frequency. Because it's like I'm gonna match your energy. So if you hungry, I'm hungry. And the thing is too, to come back to me firing clients is like again, if you want to not have realistic expectations. And me, I'm gonna have a different conversation with you because at the end of the day, it
Mm.
saves time. And the thing is that we know we're honest and there's truth and there's no misconception or no misleading information. We're gonna get to the end zone a lot quicker. So if I can't have a different conversation, like, hey, you can afford it. Like this is your pre-approval. I can't show you $500,000 houses. It just doesn't make sense. So and then if you're looking for a two family and you got or how I say like you got rice roni budget where you look and you got a filet mignon appetite, it ain't gonna happen. You know what I mean? Like so it's just looking at it like that and to be able to have that expression. And again, it's not nothing. And the thing is a lot of people are made for people. You know what I mean? Like don't because I'm a good agent doesn't mean like, all right, we just don't connect. And that's fine. I'd rather us and I can connect you with another agent, no matter if it's to buy or no matter if it's to sell and list. Because the biggest thing is with me is like maybe when I go into a listening point, I listen to properties like, all right, I ask them like, what is your ultimate goal? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to net? What are you trying to profit? And if your expectation, if you got the house is like you trying to sell the house for 1.2 million, where the house across the street sold and it's in better condition for you sold for 500,000. It's not gonna work. So it's like I'd rather cut those losses early than one save me time and save me headache than to continue to go about it and just one ruin the relationship and me ruin sleep at night. You know what I mean? It just takes away from me. I could be
So
serving somebody else.
100%. Tell us about the story, though. I want to hear the story when you had to tell, or a story. You don't have to tell us all of them. When you had
Yeah,
to tell a buyer this isn't going to work out. Like, how did it happen? Give us the story.
got you. Okay. It's a lot. It's a couple of them. So let me see one.
Just pick
Oh
one. Just
man.
pick one. Only good
Let
one.
me see. Oh, what was one? And the thing is, it's funny too, because after a while they fade out. You know what I mean? They fire themselves.
You don't focus on that negativity, so
Nah, I
you don't
don't.
keep it on the top of the brain.
It's always positive energy, it's always positive vibes. The biggest thing is like again, I think it was one time we was looking for a property for, almost like 2 to 3 weeks and show them everything and it was just one deal that was just like perfect. And that's the thing is like and it's sad because it's and it wasn't just them. They had family members as well, like their father. And it'd be the fathers, bro. It'd be because it's be the ego. You know what I mean? So it's like and we got under contract and then home inspection come, right? Home inspection come, and the father's looking at everything. You know what I mean? And the biggest thing I tell my clients early during a home inspection is to pretty much is to show you, there's no such thing as a perfect home. Even new
Hmm.
construction, you find things wrong with new construction. The biggest thing is for you to know, to have that punch list to know to address that when the time comes. And if it's, don't get me wrong, if it's anything major like foundation, roof, I mean, things like that, I'll look at that dollar signs. We asking for negotiation. We cut that to dollar signs. That's,
We gonna go to bat.
we going to bat. We're going to negotiate. Because at the end of the day, another thing too as well is like another thing misconception. When people think about negotiation, it's like I want this. If I win a negotiation, the other side is losing. Nah, that's not the
Mm-hmm.
case. It's literally trying to find a win-win for everybody. And then that's the win. That's a successful negotiation when everybody wins and they feel like they fulfilled, and also when it's the right thing to do. Because today you're communicating with the other side, the agent, and I'm the agent for the buyer, and she's the same agent for the seller. We both got to be the middleman, be able to communicate and let them know, like, hey, this is what's going on. This is what's right for our client. But long story
Mm-hmm.
short, that process alone from us doing that, and the thing is, the dad was like, "Hey, I'm not feeling this right now, man. We gotta like literally." She's telling it, and my client is like stressing out, and I'm seeing her. I'm like, "Hey, let's just regroup with this." And but today I had to go around her, not around her, but around her dad. But hey, I told him straight up. I was like, "Sorry, so and so, but no disrespect to you, sir, but she's my client. So, Miss Boom Boom, what do you want to do?" Like, what do you want to do? Like, no disrespect. Like, she's my client. So, whatever, I have a fiduciary and rightful duty to make sure I service her and what her needs are.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, and he was thrown off. He was like, oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, wait, this is my daughter. No disrespect. Like you said, again, no disrespect. But at the end of the day, I'm professional. So I have to make sure my client gets her service and what she needs. And she was surprised because she never got that
Level of
opportunity.
respect.
Exactly. Because again, don't get me wrong, I'm a parent, so like it's deep, it's embedded. So it's like if a parent always figure out like, all right, I'm going to be above the authority of everything. A lot of it is just ego, but reality is with parents, you got to be able to, your kid have their own path. You got to be a person to
Mm-hmm.
help them guide them on that path. So that was the biggest thing. So I would say, all right, and I noticed awareness like, oh, this is ego involved. You know what I mean? So it's like, so and then I go back to my client, she just distraught. So I was like, you know what? Let's just sleep on it. We talk about it more in the morning. Boom, boom, boom. And then she decided to, listen to her dad, and then we just walked away from the deal. So, and the thing is, it was cosmetic stuff, bro. Like it was really just like paint. You know what I mean? It was like not even cracks, no foundation. It was just things that you could just fix up over time. Because in the
And
day,
it was within her price range, and Emily gave her some equity.
it was below her price. Like she definitely equity all day, every day. You know what I mean? Because the house and we got in the contract 25,000 below market value, bro. So it just getting me a little heated, but talk about it. But the thing is, like, I know she would have won that. So it's like, all right, what do I do? What do I do? Do I continue to, waste my time because I know it's not. If it was just my client, it'd be different. But it came down to the other person becoming involved, and it just got in the way of that for her. So it was like I had to have a conversation, like no disrespect to Miss So and So, but you know, we just gotta cut ties. It's like, you know, it's nothing personal, but I feel like we just not aligning right now. But I could definitely refer you to another agent that I feel like could definitely help you out in this process. And don't get me wrong, I'll let the other agent know, you know, this is what you're gonna get yourself into, and it's up to you if you want to move with it or not. But I just feel like I don't have the patience or the time to be able to not be able to help serve or have a roadblock that does not need to be there. Because today we're all on the same team. I want to see the daughter succeed, you know, and get her to the promised land. Um, and then there's another one, bro. That just came to me, right? Tell me why.
Let it fly. Let it fly.
Oh man, I got her under contract, right? And mind you, she was she wasn't living like I never met her in person. She was literally in a different. She was in not Hawaii, but she was in another country. So everything I was showing her was all virtual. So it was like, all right, cool. And she had a great price point, you know, so on and so forth. And we get to the property. She's like, yeah, I want this property, Devontae. Let's do this. I'm ready to go. I was like, all right, cool. So I get it under contract. Have my home inspector do everything, and then we're getting ready to close. It's closing day, so she finally comes and sees the property. And I'm telling you, this property was amazing because it was like historic. It looked like the property looked like it needed to be in Spain, but it was in Connecticut, right? I mean, like it had like the shingles, like the clay shingles on top. Like it had a finished basement, big backyard, 2-car garage. Like it was renovated, but it was in a historical district, so it had its own taste, its own flavor to it. Long story short, you know, I got my attorney. My attorney's all the way in Madison. He's coming up to Madison's about an hour and a half away from where the property is. So he's driving, and me and him going back and forth. And she's like, Devontae, I don't like it. I'm like, what you mean you don't like it? Like, what's going on? Like, I don't want it. And then she has her family there with her too, and they look at her like she's crazy. She's like, what you mean? This is an amazing house. And then long story short, I called my attorney and was like, she's done. She wants her deposit back. Like, what do you want to do? He's like, all right, just don't worry. Let's just I'll meet you guys at the office. And my office at the time was in Trumbull, and you know we'll talk it out, figure it out from there. And we get there, and she's like, all right, you know, actually I want the house. And then I'm all right, cool, all right, so let's go. I'm like, all right, let me just get you to the closing table. So I get to the closing table, I'm driving, and she calling you back. She said, Devontae, I don't want it no more. So she's like playing hot potato. Bro, I'm telling you, it's driving me crazy. And mind you, bro, like this is sounding like my wife is pregnant. My son is about to be born, right? My son is about to be born. So I got personal things going on. So my wife is like, literally, give me any day now, she's about to have my son. So I'm like, all right, I gotta, because I could have exploded, but I kept my composure. And again, let me figure this thing out. And I'm talking to my attorney. He's like, Devontae, just come. Just let her just rock. Just come and we'll three-way her. So she heads back to where she's going with her family. And her family's like so apologetic to me. And I'm telling her, I'm like, hey, you know, we're so close to the closing table and the seller is just like been willing to work with us, you know you're gonna lose your earnest money deposit. And she's like, yeah, I'm willing to lose it. I don't really care. I'm like, this is like $8,000. So you want to let $8,000 just go down the trash? You different. So long story short, she let it go, and literally, mind you, like my wife, like a couple of days, like next day, my wife gave birth to my son. So I'm in the hospital. She called me. She said, Devontae, yeah, hi, that was funny, right? All right, let's go look for another one. I'm like, nah, like I'm like,
Wait, she said that was fun.
she said that was fun. She said that was fun. I'm telling you, man, like it's situations like that. And then I'm like, nah, like no disrespect. You know what I mean? Like again, like I value my time. You know, I feel like this is gonna work out. So I sent her the termination of agency agreement while I'm in the hospital with my kid. You know what I mean? Like my son just born. Send it to her. I was like, hey, we gotta cut ties. And mind you, that commission and thing is too, with being an agent is like we deal to deal. You know what I mean? Like I got bills to pay. You know what I mean? I got things I got to pay for. I just welcomed a whole new life into this world. So it's like I could have kept, and I guarantee you, the next agent, which happened, she used everybody from my team, my attorney, my home inspector, and literally with the next agent closed with the next agent. So I'm like, I did all that work for no reason, but reality that wasn't the case. You know what I mean? I've learned and grown so much from that process by me saying like, yo, it's not worth the money. Like I just welcome my son into this world. I'd rather be here right now. And the back and forth wasn't worth it for me. It was stressful. So the biggest thing is like that. And again, the lack of consideration on her part and not to point fingers at her, but it just again, I'm awareness to everybody's situation, even for her perspective. You know what I mean? See where she comes from, and then you like what you like, you don't like what you don't like. So it's like even that process, is like, all right, this not gonna work, this not gonna align. And after that, I got, connected with another client, and boom, it just picked it from there. So the universe is gonna work. You know what I mean? Like it's gonna work, but you gotta be aware enough and know your own tolerance and what you want to accept, what you not want to accept.
That's
So it's
why I
like,
tell people I do the same
man,
thing. Like when we're anytime I'm taking on a new client, I do like a Zoom or a phone call, depending on what the client prefers. And I'm
yeah,
like, I'm going to give you the information, at least give you the basics of how to buy a house. That's my gift to you. Whether you decide to use me or not is 100% all right. Because our energies don't always align. Like I'm not a
nah,
loan for everyone. Some people just aren't gonna like my. I'm high spirited. I'm gonna be the one to call you, be like, yo, come on, you got this. Like I'm gonna cheer you on. And some people don't want that motivation. They don't want that push. And that's who I am. So if I do not align with you, I promise you, it is okay. I will not take it personal. It is fine for us to get this information. Just be like, Malcolm, you're not for me. 100%. Like I had this one lady, actually recently, and I'm talking about I was. Sometimes it's my fault for losing clients. Like I had
mm,
clients that I got to follow up on, or I would
yes,
follow
it
up
happens.
and then they would never follow up. So I text them, hey, how's everything going? Or I'll call them and they would never call me back. But as a loan officer, we're the ones who need them more. So
Yeah,
even with a realtor, like even if
same.
they stop responding, we're supposed to respond to them, still do that. Which granted, I take 100% accountability. So like I did a YouTube video about it. I had to start my whole CRM over because I just had so many people in there that I just stopped
Yeah,
really
contacting
responding.
the reset.
Yeah, like if they
Yes,
weren't contacting me, I didn't contact them. So I had this one lady.
exactly.
I was contacting her because I went through our text messages. I was contacting them. I think I was doing once a month or once every other month, but it was decent enough. Like the conversation, I was asking for an email to put her into my email because I send out newsletters and stuff like that. And then she called me the other day asking me for advice and stuff like that. I was helping her. Boom, boom, boom. And then the other day she calls me like, "Hey, I found a loan officer, and I can't wait to use you to help me find the house." I was like, I am a loan officer. What are you talking about? She goes, oh, my bad. So I let it go because I was getting food at the time. So I hit her up later on. Like I
Yeah.
just texted her. I was like, hey, um, I ask what happened? Because at the end of the day, I want to know why I lost the client. If I lost you,
Mm,
100% fine, but why? Like, is there something I did that I could do better so I don't lose someone else? You have to learn.
accountability.
Exactly. It's our fault if you keep making the same mistakes over. So she said,
Exactly.
yeah, a friend referred me to someone else. And I was like, oh, are you talking about this person? Because this came from a referral. And mind you, I was keeping charge with her. Like, we were talking, like, when something happened, I called her, like, are you okay? Sent her a card. Like, I was making sure that she was all right as a client, even before
Yeah.
the business.
Yeah.
And she was like, nah, someone else just referred me to another person. I want to use them. I was like, all right, I respect it. And I said, you know what?
Yeah.
If anything does happen, you need a second opinion because this has happened before that they went to someone else and they're like,
They come back.
this person wasn't doing all the stuff that my other loan officers do. Like sometimes they feel like when they go somewhere else, it's going to be better. And then when we get there, and it's like not all loan officers or even realtors are created equal. Like that's what
Nah.
I do for my clients. A lot of them don't do. Like I hear other loan officers like, "Wait, you do that? Why would you do all that?" And it's just because the amount of care and the personalized service that you do is just different. But I
Yeah,
want
the
to ask you
grass is
this:
not always greener, baby. The grass is not always
100%.
greener.
What are some red flags to look out for when a first-time homebuyer is going to meet an agent?
Again, going back to the pre-approval, they got no pre-approval. That's one red flag. You know what I mean? And they're not willing to do so. It'd be something like, all right, tell
No,
them,
no, no,
we need a
no.
pre.
I want to know the opposite. What are first time home buyers? What red flags should they look out for when they meet an agent?
Oh, the opposite. Oh, with the agent. Oh, thank you for that clarity, brother. Thank you for
Nah,
that
no
clarity.
problem, no problem.
But yeah, when they're looking with the agent, one, the responsiveness. If they're not responsive, you know what I mean. They're commission hungry. You know what I mean. They got commission breath. And what I mean by that is they value more about they already calculating, they're looking at your pre-approval and already calculating as if it closed. So they tagging a dollar amount on you before the process instead of looking at what your goals are and how they can help you and service you in that process. So that's a huge red flag for me because it's the opposite of how I move. The biggest thing is like I know that money, that bread is going to come over time, especially if you service that client the right way. Because once you get them and then another referral from their friend, family, whatever, it's going to come back. I don't care if it's I'm making $500 on that commission. I still want to give them the same exact experiences if I was giving somebody for a $1.2 million house. You know what I mean? It should be the same streamline, but that's the red flag. Um, Transparency, you know what I mean? Being honest, or even again, like you just said, bro, the accountability. If I'm wrong, I'm gonna be the first one to say, hey, this is my mistake. I dropped the ball. This is where we're at. And it's up to you if you want to move forward or not. And the thing is, I'm not Suge Knight. You know, this ain't Death Row Records. So it's like, if you want to get out of the contract, hey, I'll give you your junk back with no problems, no penalty fee, nothing. So it's just like things like that. It's like I want to make sure no matter what, even if the relationship is not gonna work out, if the deal's not work, if we're not a right match, I'm not gonna hold you tight. And then again, the communication. If the communication is not on point and they're not taking accountability for messing up, and you could be able to test them and seeing that out. And especially another thing too is like if they don't have all their, if they don't have their documentation, or if they say they're going to do something and they don't do it, that's a red flag. That's a red flag. I'm gonna see you this buyer rep agreement tonight or tomorrow. If you don't get that in the next 48 hours, oh, that's a red flag. You gotta look at that, because if they're not sending you that documentation, they're gonna drop the ball in another situation where you need to get that offering at a certain time.
I like that. I agree with you. I 100% think that is because, as you said, some things are time sensitive. So if they're like, "Hey, you have to
Time is the
keep
essence.
them accountable." Now, granted, like I know for me, I get super busy sometimes, but I usually do it. I'll be like, "Hold on, while we're on the phone, before I forget, let me just send you stuff." And then I had a client say, "Hey, Malcolm, you sent me half of this stuff, but I'm missing one document. Well, not really half, but 80, 90%, but I'm missing this thing." And then I'll be, "Oh, no problem, boom." But I think it is good, like what you say, constant communication. You should be able to call them, text them, something. Now, granted, I used to, this is, I think, growing lessons. Like when I first started, people
Yeah.
would call me up to 11 o'clock at night and I'd pick up the phone,
Oh,
hello. But
boundary,
now,
boundary.
yeah, my wife be looking at me like, what
Oh,
time
I
is
get
that
it too.
for?
I get it too. She think like somebody from the club calling me. It's like, nah, this is like it's
It's
up.
like, I be having to put the phone on speaker like it's my
You
client, babe.
got
Like,
to. You
She's like
got to.
this one is okay, but you better start do not disturb mode or something because you ain't. She's
Seriously.
like, yo, when is it my time? Like you're at
Yeah.
work, come home, you're working until 12, 1, and then you getting up at 5 o'clock. Like, yo, this is ridiculous. Like something has to give, and it's
Oh
like
man.
so now I started putting. I usually put my phone on do not disturb like 8, 9 o'clock. You know what I mean? But I had to start putting some kind of boundaries because I'm always on the go because I want my clients to feel like they're never alone. Like that's my biggest thing. And even after, because after we close, you become family now. Now I don't call you my client; you're a family. So I want them to feel
Exactly.
like whatever you need, I will be there. Like I have people call me about things that aren't even real estate related. Like, hey, Malcolm, my son is going to school. What schools do you suggest?
Yo, it be like that. They call you for the first, but bro, you hit it right on the head with the boundary piece, because again, it takes away from you in the service. Because if you spread yourself out too thin, and don't get me wrong, you need to, like you said, a growing pains, because at time we got to evolve. But the same thing is the same thing you were doing day one is not gonna be the same thing you're doing at year 3 or 4. And you are doing the same thing, that you really hitting the ceiling and you your own worst enemy in that process. So it's like, all right, don't get me wrong, like, all right, I have no clients, all right, I gotta make sure I'm available 24/7. But when now I got clients and I got deals closed, now I got a family. All right, now I got to be able to, give them these are my office hours. This is the time. If I don't get back to you, let them know the expectation. If I don't get back to you, that minute, I'll get back to you in 24 hours.
I
And
like
I
what you
say that
said. Let them know the expectations before they even go
early,
further. 100%. I love that idea.
early,
Like, hey, this is the expectation.
man.
I'm going to reach out with you, and I'm now starting to actually put the expectations. I never really said it. Like I was talking to one of my friends. I'm gonna shout you out, Mario, the monk, and he's like he was a loan officer, and now went into marketing. Phenomenal gentleman, but he does what's called expectation letter, like what his service is gonna be, and what he expects, how he wants to live up to that. So they see it in black and white. This is the service I'm going to give you. This is the things I do. This is my hours. If I don't get back to you, you'll get a text message in 24 hours. Like, and I think that helps the clients, like what you said. It helps them because they know where they stand and what to expect.
Bro, and it's huge because again, like that right there, it's at the end of the day, it's a relationship. And not just it's not a client and a professional, it's a relationship bare minimum. I mean, at the beginning, at the foundation. So it's like me telling you and communicating early, setting expectations. There was times I didn't communicate that because I was a people pleaser. Me being a people pleaser and me doing that, I'm killing myself in that process. And now I'm stressing because I'm giving them all this leverage. And if I can't perform or I get resentful in that process, then now it taints the water. So by me setting that boundary up first, me setting expectations up first, oh man, like it frees everybody up and now everybody is good. And the thing is also another thing, documentation. Like you said, I'm making sure if it's a crazy thing, and this is my wife told me too. Is my wife, she does transaction coordination with me too as well. And literally, you have to document everything because it saves you. Because no matter he says, she says stuff like you on the phone, it's you can't. If something goes wrong and somebody misconstrues, like, oh no, let me pull up our text message. This is what I said, or this is what you said. Because if you don't do that, you putting yourself in a high liability. No matter, you could be cool and whatever. Your client can be cool and whatever, but at the end of the day, you still gotta be professional and have things documented. Because if not, man, something go wrong, and trust me, it has. Yo, it will. I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a perfect transaction. Even if it's a perfect transaction, I'm still looking over my shoulder. I'm like, yo, like this,
I feel
this,
like that too. I always tell people
bro.
like real estate is like this. I don't care how good
Oh
everything
man,
looks. There's always hiccups. Like I've been on very few deals where nothing popped up, but like it's always something
yo,
like something on the title pops up. One of the bank statements they have an issue with. The seller doesn't want to sell. Like it might not even be the buyer. The seller might just be like, you know what? I'm not ready to sell. Like I had one client, like a realtor, who wasn't the main realtor. So I was representing the buyer, did the loan, everything was good, and the seller's realtor was hounding my agent, like, "Yo, the buyer's ready to go. The buyer already left the state. He found another house. We need to close this ASAP, ASAP."
pressure,
He started rushing the
pressure.
bank. Like, "Yo, we gotta go." Put that pressure on the fire. I'm talking about working. They send emails at 8, 9 o'clock. I'm responding like, "Yo, he's gonna lose the house." Blah blah. I'm stressing. Get the clear to close. I'm like, so we closing tomorrow. She just calls the agent up. And she's like, tomorrow? Oh, I thought we had more time. Like, wait,
Yep,
hold up. You put me through hell calling my phone, like, blah, blah, blah. Like, usually I don't even let the realtors call me. I usually be like, hey, but sometimes, depending on the situation, I'm like, you know what, call me, and you know what, I'll give you an update personally. Like, that's how good my service is. I'll talk to her agent and your agent just to make sure everyone's on the same page. And this man started calling me nonstop. And then he wasn't even ready to close. I was like, yo, you rushed me and your client is ready.
yo,
Like, you didn't know your client wasn't ready before you. And now my client's on a timeline because I already locked the loan. So, end up
man,
happening, we end
rate
up
lock.
going to lock. And I was like, I told the realtor and attorney, the client should pay for it. I was like, I don't see why my client is paying for any extension. I don't even think I don't care. It was like, but Malcolm, I was like, no, it's not fair. I was like,
It's not.
I'm defending the client. The client didn't even say anything. The client's quiet at this point. I was on three-way with them, like, yo, this is not fair. This is BS. This client rushed me to make sure. And I had the proof. I had the messages, like you said. I had the text messages. Like I got text messages and emails. You guys could be. I'll CC you guys. Like I have no problem. But you're telling me to rush it to ready to close. We're good to go, and we still had more time on the contract. So that's why I was like, "Why are you rushing me?" But you know what? If it is, it's gonna help my seller. My the buyer actually wanted to close sooner. She was like, "Malcolm, if you can
Mm-hmm.
do it, please." It would really help me. I want this as a birthday gift to myself. I was like, for you, I'm going to move hell and back to make
Oh, I'm
sure we
going to
get.
war. I'm going to
Yeah,
war for you, baby. I'm
this
going to
for you.
war.
I'm going to do it.
It's
We
not right.
made it happen, and then we end up going past the 30-day lock, and I'm like, yo, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Fast forward, we end up closing. And the seller did not take all of her concession. I think we only needed a week. I took some as my gift to her. I paid for some of it. The seller
Yeah.
did pay a portion of it. They did agree that okay, we'll pay something, and then the buyer ended up paying the rest. But at least the buyer didn't get hit with everything. But then it showed her like, yo, Malcolm really went to bat for me. And after you do something like for that a client, their loyalty is like this. Malcolm gave up his commission, his personal money
Oh
to
yeah.
help me because she didn't have the money to pay for the full lot. Like she, like a lot of people are using their life savings to buy a house, so they don't have enough for savings and closing. Like that's it. So when you asking them to come up with more money out of nowhere, that's not even something that they did. It's like I don't know what I'm supposed to do, Malcolm. Like I need help. Like
Yeah, and it can't go to nobody. It can't go to nobody. And that's the big, and bro, I could relate, which because it happened to me multiple times, and I'm an agent, so it happened like that, and it is not fair. You know what I mean? And that's the thing, because it come down because it get emotional, get personal. So now it's like, oh, especially over time, you get closer, it gets realer when they get closer to closing. That's when the end all be all happens because it's like that, and like you said, like and there's times where I was like, all right, I'm willing to give up I have to give up some of my portion of my commission just so we get this deal closed for my client. And it come down to the seller just being prideful. And like I'm like, I don't even care, because again, like I work. It's not the fact that I work this hard; it's because my client deserves it. You know what I mean? That's first and foremost. So it's like, and again, there's no like, all right, underlying layer, like, all right, she's gonna give me a referral after this. It's like, nah, it's just good energy. It's just the fact of just putting positive energy out there, and and I know if it's not now, it's gonna be in the future. It's gonna come back. But even not that, I just like that because I could just sleep with a balanced heart at night. You know what I mean? Because like you said,
I like
this
that
is
a
the fact that
balanced
the
heart.
agent, another agent, oh yeah, balance heart. You know what I mean? Just be able to have a client see that you fighting for them like that. Just think about who it's any and everybody. You know what I mean? And it also gives you confidence too as well. It's like, all right, nah, man, I'm not letting it, just ride because again, it's their fault. Nah, I'm looking at it as if it's me and the client and we're in a partner in this deal together. That's how you gotta look at it. Because if you're not, and that's another fact, if you don't have an agent like that, call my line. I'm just gonna say that. If you don't have an agent like that, call my line. And I'm telling you, I will fight for that, and I will get you
Shoot that
anything.
Instagram out again. Shoot that
Oh
Instagram.
yeah,
Let's go ahead.
it's Mallard Dynasty right here. You see it right there at Mallard
Hey,
Dynasty. So yeah, on Instagram. So Mallard Dynasty, and then and just hit me up, DM me, and we just figure out from there.
now I have a question. This one's
Mhm.
is on this podcast I like to be 100% real, authentic, and it's funny on one of the episodes. Well, this wasn't on this podcast. It was one that this is what helped me give me the prelude to doing the podcast because I
Mhm.
knew I wanted to do one for real estate. I had the name and the idea, but I was
Mhm.
talking to one of my good friends. I'm gonna shoot you out, John. He's gonna be on the podcast hopefully next week when I shoot this episode. Yeah, I gotta link up with him because we had a good discussion, and in it we didn't have the same views. Like we started actually going at each other, and it was like, this is what I want. I don't want us to always, we're like minded, but not all the time do we have the same opinion. And it's good for. I feel like it's good to speak your mind and talk about what you want. So I like talking about the dark stuff. So that being said, I'm just preparing you for the question. All right.
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm ready.
What are some ethical dilemmas that you have faced in your career, and how did you handle them?
Mm. Dude, that's a deep, good ass question right there, man.
Yeah, I want to know. I want to know. This is the real real estate.
Oh yeah, ethical. Wow, bro, I love that question. And this thing is too as well. I'm gonna talk it throughout with you too. Is like that's the thing with being real estate in any industry. It's so highly, especially with us as agents and as a loan officer. It's like we have the code of ethics. So it's a lot of gray area. So it's like, and there's times it's like, all right, I could be in a situation where, and it come down to the self awareness and the consciousness of like, all right, am I doing this for the benefit of my client or for myself? Because we all have a shadow side. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. Like I'm a great positive energy type of guy, but there's times where I gotta do that internal battle and face my shadow self. Like, all right, what do I want out of this deal? Because everybody wants something out of something. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna do this for no reason, but there's times it's
100%.
like and it's times. Oh man, it's tough because it's like it be times where I'll be getting these deals right, and I'll be like, all right, and this is perfect for my client, but I know I want this deal for myself and it'd be
Mm,
like, all right, do I expose them to this? Because today we have the control of what the client sees and what the client doesn't see. You know what I mean? As an
Especially
indie
if it's an
realtor, as
off
an
market
agent.
deal.
If it's an off market deal, even if it's an on market deal, because it's like, all right, and then you got to have a conversation with yourself. It's like, oh man, do I want to present this to them? I could see I could get the lender for this. I could do this myself, and or do I just give it to them, talk them out of seeing it? You know, it's good because at the end of the day, I want this for myself. So I feel like that's when the cloudy area and the ethical piece comes in because it's like, man, it's like, damn, do I sacrifice this and not give it to them, or do I keep it for myself? You know what I mean?
Mm,
And they come down to it, and then I still present it to my client, but that's an internal battle that not a lot of people
that
want to
you
see. And
speak
they be,
to.
oh man, agent's not going to tell you that straight up off the bat. Like right now, like I'll be transparent, be honest like that, because there be times you're like, man, I want to present this to them, but I know they're going to be another competitor, or I might have another client. Right? Peep this. I might have another client that I know has the buying power, and they both want the property, and I'm on the buyer side. So I'm showing both the same property, and if we about to put an offer on that same property for each client, but I know this client is way more pre-approved, got way more buyer power, can negotiate, can close a lot faster. I know this person, I got this one is an FHA. I mean, this one's a conventional loan. This one's an FHA loan, and they need closing costs. This one is going to be able to close the closing costs. I know they. So that's the battle. So it's like, all right, what do you do in that situation? Because today you have an ethical or even a fiduciary duty to both of them to make sure they both get deserving what they need. So I feel like those two things right there, I'll be like, are the most difficult, for me to face, especially when I got clients and be able to give one which one. But today I got to put both offers in and just treat it as that. But deep down, I know that they don't know of each other. They don't know they're
Mm.
competing against each other, and I can't express that to them. Or if I do, and I should and I will, but hey, I got another client, but I can't tell them the whole details about my other client.
That was good. That was good. I like your answer to that. Okay. Now, how do you handle conflicts when you're representing both the seller and the buyer in a transaction?
Oh man, we talking about dual agency. We talking about dual agency, man. There's times that I had, man. It was one, man. Oh, bro, this is stress right here. And the thing is, I was living on a property too, because I like it's a condo, have a complex that I live at. That I used to I actually used to invest in property, but long story short, I had a listing, and then I had another buyer client that really wanted this condo, and my client on the listing side, he already had his mind made up. All right, I want this to be sold at this amount because this is gonna be my ticket to Costa Rica. So, and mind you, I'm telling him like, yo, this is gonna sell for 135, and he was like, no, I want 155. I need a net 140, and he got it as a foreclosure, so he was gonna walk away with money in his pocket regardless, but he wanted that 140 because he wanted to enter the Costa Rica. And I have another client that is a buyer that has the means, but when it came down to the appraisal. So we got on the contract, we got him that 155. But I told my client the expectations like, I'm telling you, man, this property's not going to appraise for this amount. We're gonna figure out something for it. And then my client, so he accepts my client's offer, and long and behold, the appraisal comes in at 135. So I'm like stressed because it's like I know what the appraisal came in at, and he knows too as well. So, and it's like me telling me, he's like, no, I want her to cover the difference. I'm like, come on, man. Like, and mind you, she's a single woman, you know, and she has these funds. It's not like she got a co-signer with her parents because again, student loans, you know what I mean? So she couldn't fully afford it on her own. So it's like I'm seeing it, I'm like, man, I'm split, I'm torn because it's like, all right, it's not even about the commission. I'm getting both sides. It's about all right, how are we gonna make the situation work? And go back to it. It'd be times where I have that listing, I won't even show them to my buyers because it's like just having to face that. You know what I mean? Like if I have a listing and just to avoid that whole scenario because that experience, and you can't be giving too much personal information to each side. So you got to be able to keep it black and white on both sides and
The
knowing
buyers
most
want to be straight.
blinders and like all right, I got to put on. It's like me. Like, I got to take this tie off and go run into this door. And I got to take this tie off, run into another door, and act like two different people. So it's like that's the stress. So I was like, all right, cool. So I had to be like, all right, I gotta. And I gotta let my client know. I'm like, hey man, like, and I can't tell like she's not being realistic. I can't tell it. I can't tell him like, oh, she's not. I can't. So I'm like, all right. So this, all I can tell you is this is what this is going to happen. You know, this is your options. This is you're gonna. You can either pay the difference or you can just walk, and you get your deposit back.
What
And
did
they
they
come
end up
down
doing?
to they end up walking, and I'm happy as hell they did because it wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth it for her. It wasn't worth it for her, and for him.
Did
And
he
then
find
mind you,
someone else?
no, I fired him at that point.
Because he was so
I,
unrealistic with it.
So unrealistic. I fired, but I referred him. I still got. I referred him. I still got money on the deal because it closed. But at times, it'd be
Did
like, all
it,
right,
did it close for the same amount?
nah, I closed a little bit less. Literally 2,000 less because it was getting closer and closer to his time to leave.
So it ended up closing for like 133.
Now I ended up closing for actually 133, around
He
there.
should have just took it.
He should have took it and again the time, but a lot of times too, as well, I noticed as an agent, sometimes you gotta get out the way. Like I had to get out the way. You know what I mean? And my client, and the thing is, I could have stick through for that 2000, but it wasn't because again, I live on the property too, so I'm seeing it every day. So he's looking at me, like, cool. But again, it wasn't no. We still had a good relationship, But again, it's just like I had to get out. I had to refer it to the client, and I still got money on the deal, but I had to get out the way because I was starting to get too emotionally involved in the transaction. Because I was feeling
Mm.
for my client. I was feeling for my buyer client. So I was like, all right, I got it. Now, but again, if I wasn't thinking like, all right, that consciousness, it would have burnt both relationships, and then boom, now we would have had an ethical situation happen. So it's
Mm.
already foreseeing that. So in that process,
That's another thing. Sellers have this a lot of times. Sellers have an unrealistic goal when they sell a house. They look at what they want to net, not seeing what the actual houses around them are selling for. It's just like, okay, I want to net this. Somebody gonna have to buy it. You know what I mean?
bro, it's the red flag for me, and I should have peeped this. I did the CMA. As soon as I gave it to him, he didn't even look at it. He just tossed it. Like he literally just closed it. He didn't even look at it. He didn't even look at it. I'm like, bro, like I just spent time, like
What's
literally,
the
like
CMA? Can you let
adjustments.
people know?
Yeah, a
Can you let
comparative
people know what
market
that is?
analysis. Absolutely, it's a comparative
Okay.
market analysis. So pretty much, it's like what it is you looking at you got the subject property and you got pretty much the other comps, the comparable properties around the area that's sold that's closer to the actual property of your home. No matter if it's if it's newer or better condition, or it's a property that's beat down. But if we're looking at what's sold, because a lot of people do different CMAs, comparative market analysis, and it works for them. But me, I'm looking at strictly just sold. I'm not looking at what's under contract or what's active or what's not. Or I might look at another thing too. If I have a really difficult client, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna show them the thing that expired, that didn't sell
Mm-hmm.
because the price is being so high. So if we price at this point is going to expire and nobody's going to want it. And the thing is, you'll get the most traffic within the first 2 weeks. After the first 2 weeks, and that's another thing. Do I put in my listing agreement? Is like another documentation. If after the first 2 weeks the property we don't get no offers, we get a lot of traffic with no offers, we gotta drop that price to at least 5,000, 10,000, whatever. Because if not, we're gonna be wasting each other's time and your expectation. You're not gonna get what you want. So if we don't have that, then and if they're not willing to sign it, it's not a good fit. I have to go through those checkpoints with those clients because again, the expectation, if they don't agree to any of those things, I know it's gonna be a difficult situation. And
100%.
I could sell it. Don't get me wrong, but it's not on me. It's what the market's going to tell. It's going to tell us. You know.
Now, how do you handle a difficult real estate transaction?
Oh man, communication. I always go back to communication because problem solving. It's all about creative problem solving because it's in this thing like we talked about before. Is like when you get a perfect transaction, you're paranoid. It's like, yo, I'm scared of like everything going smooth. Like I'm so serious. I'll be like, yo, this really just happened. Like we closing tomorrow. Like there's nothing going to go pop off. Like and be like that because it's like, but again, and the thing is, I look forward to the difficult transaction. I know it sounds crazy, but because the amount of growth that comes with it. Because now I'm like, all right, I got to be able to put out the emotional side. All right, Devonta, how you feeling right now? All right, how can we creatively problem solve? And this is when that critical thinking comes in. Because now it's like, all right, knowing that, all right, I'm cornerbacking this, I gotta be able to lean on my attorney, the title agent, or even a loan officer. You know what I mean? Like all three of us, how we gonna work together as a team, and also the client. So just being able to communicate. All right, guys, this is the situation that's going on. All right, and then be able to, and to be honest, sometimes I won't even tell my client when I see a problem. I don't come to them, my client, with the problem. I come with my client with the problem and the solution, and then give them the options. So this is the problem. Here are the different options you can take. It's your choice to pick the solution that you want to use for this problem. But I don't just come to them with a problem because, again, we're in a high emotional situation. So if I come off with emotion, it's mirroring. So if I come off with high emotion and I'm stressing, that's going to transfer over to my client, and the experience is going to go crazy for them and myself. So let me just mediate these issues and this problem by coming over with the solution. So I'm like, hey, no worries, we got the situation. This is what's going to happen. Here are the options how we're going to handle this. And already
I do
vetted,
that
already talked
same
that.
thing, Devontae. You
Same
hit it.
frequency,
I do the
bro.
same thing. Before I go with the problem, I stop. I call like
Have to.
either other lenders, or I call other people in the bank. Like, hey, all right, we have this problem. How can we fix it? Like, give me a solution. Oh, you don't have one. All right, let me call someone else. And I call other brokers sometimes just so I can spitball. Like other loan officers, like this is what I'm going through. What would you do? And I just hear the advices, and I'm like, all right, these are three possible solutions. Let me see if they work for the bank, and then I call the client like, hey, we have this problem, but these are what we could do to solve it. Which one do you want? The same exact thing. And I feel like that's why I actually tell people, like, one of my pitches used to be like I would go to different real estate offices. Like
Mm-hmm.
my first actual mentor, I give him credit because he threw me out there. He didn't really help me. He threw me out there, and I
Be the
learned by
best.
going and fire.
Yeah,
But the
you have
issue
to.
is when you go through the fire now, a lot of stuff don't phase me. Like, because I've been through so much shit. I've been through it, like, same thing you at closing table, and the seller's like, yo, the buyer's like, yo, I don't know if I want to buy this property. I have to talk them down the ledge. Like, I've been in so many situations where the bank is like, yeah, we pre-approved you, but everything was good, but the buyer didn't schedule the closing now. And we looked at this document, and we don't know if we want to do this. We might need these documents, and just give me a whole list of new stuff. But
Yep.
once you've been through so many shit, it's like, okay, that no problem. We got this solution. Oh, that okay, yeah, this is what we do. But I used to tell realtors, give me the file that no other loan officer wants. Give me that
Yeah.
shit that you like, yo, Malcolm, this is a pile of shit. No one wants this. I'll take it. As long as
Yep.
the client still wants to buy, I'll figure it out. And that's how I learned a lot. So I was going into offices and meeting realtors and like, yo, let's go. What do you have? Like, how can I be assistance of you? And not even just asking what can you give me? What can I do to help you better your business?
Exactly.
And
Bro, you
it's
hit it
like, yeah,
right on the
you
head.
want to help me? Like that even just saying that, because a lot of people have their hands out and always asking, always asking. I was like, no, what I could, even like when we spoke, when
Yeah.
me and Devontae, true story, me and Devontae met from another one of my past clients who's now my business partner. I'm not going to say his name because I don't want to give him any promo. You're gonna be listening to this talking so much shit.
Oh, he definitely. Oh, he is. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. My guy. That's my brother,
Yeah,
man. That's my brother.
that's my brother though. But yeah. So we met through him, and then me and Devontae are actually working with a mutual client together now. And hopefully, I'm not gonna say the client's name. Hopefully, he does decide to do the podcast because I asked him to do the podcast with me together. And he said he's debating and he was a little scared to. He's not a social media person, so he doesn't know if he wants to. But even with me and Devontae, Matt, I was like, hey, Devontae, I love your spirit. I actually have a podcast that I'm doing. I would love to have you on it, and this is a way for you to meet more people because I'm going to post it on my social media network. And it was just like it was different because I want to give him things. I didn't ask him for anything. I didn't ask him for any clients. Like, oh, you got to come on my podcast. You got because a lot of people do that. Like, I've actually been emailing DM other podcasters that asked me to speak, and it was like, yeah, but if I bring you on my podcast, I got this many followers. You either got to give me some money or some clients. And it's like my podcast. I feel like that waters down the podcast. I want
Oh,
people who
yeah.
I'm not asking for anything. They don't give me anything. It's not a paid thing. The only time you see paid stuff will be ads. Whenever I decide to start doing ads on it, that's it. But as far as the people we're interviewing, I want it to be raw. I feel like if I accept your money I'm taking from you, then I can't ask you the uncomfortable questions because you'll be like, I paid for this. I paid for this man to groom. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I
Oh yeah,
want it to be
100%.
like that, and at the same time, I want you to have a shine a light so people see the authentic and the raw you, because that's what I feel like. That's what makes people want to work with you and creates that sales and that bonds. Because they're like, yo, I heard him on that podcast. That young man is smart. He has the same energy. He has the same thoughts. That's the person I want to defend me or a person to help me with my real estate. And I feel like that's when they get the best version of you.
Bro. Yeah, and it, really, when we had that conversation too, and I know, and I think it threw you off guard too, because it was like, I'm like, yo, bro, I'm like, you giving me all this value, like, what can I give you in return? You know what I mean? Like, because I'm appreciative. Like even right now, I'm appreciating having this conversation, having this high level conversation, which was like, man, like you giving me so much value. Like, what can I do? To provide that value back. At the end of the day, what click for me is the relationship. You know what I mean? And the biggest thing is again, like, you win, I win. You know what I mean? Vice versa. I win, you win. So I don't, and the thing is, it's a lot, especially, not to get too crazy, but with our people as a culture, as minorities, it's always the concept of that crab in the barrel mentality that we're going to be able to, like, all right, I can't. And the thing is, now again, going back to that consciousness and not checking in with your shadow self was like, oh, why do I feel this way towards this person? Am I insecure about this? You know what I mean? So it's like, it's a lot of things that you got to address as an individual before you can really be able to have that. Because at the end of the day, we're human beings. We have to collaborate with people, with each other, and be able to build that relationship and that experience. Because it's like, all right, cool. If I was in, your shoes, Malcolm, like, all right, you know, what would I look for in return without nobody telling me that? You know what I mean? Like, what will be value for me? So now I'm putting myself in your shoes. You know what I mean? And I'm a reader too. Like even in the Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene, he wrote the 48 Powers of Law. It's like the power to have empathy
Don't
and
make me go in my
sympathy.
library right now and pull out that book.
Bro, let's get right. Let's get right because we get into it because I read, man. So and the thing is too is that like the laws of human nature and the thing, the power of empathy and sympathy with people, empathy I should say, by you putting yourself in other person's shoes, the power you have because now you think the way they think. You know what I mean? Now, and not in the sense of like being able to use it as manipulation, but now in the sense of now looking at a human level and understanding the things that we do as internally as human beings. So that, and also another book too is Never Eat Alone. Another book that
Never
I
what?
looked through, like Never Eat Alone.
I think I've read that book. What was
It's a
it about?
networking book. It's a networking book. So it's pretty much, it talks about all about relationships and just building on relationships,
I read
and
that
being
book.
able, bro. It's updated. It's a top book. But yeah, that book right there hit me because again, especially in the industry that we're in, like a lot of our business relies off of relationships. So it's like, and you gotta be powerful to be able like to look at some other person, like, all right. A lot of people think it's like, all right, I can get this from this person. Nah, you got to go into it and be like, all right, what can I provide you? You know, and genuinely mean that. Because if you come off like, I'm gonna say I'm gonna mean this, but not really. I'm gonna say I'm gonna do this, but not really do it, and not mean it. Oh, you just set yourself up for failure. And also another thing that I took from that book is doing your homework. Bro, I did homework on you. You know what I mean? Like, and it shows that you prepare. Like, in the sense of like, I'm looking at all your podcasts. I'm looking at how you move, what questions you asking. And the thing is, it pays homage to the person that you're doing the relationship with because it shows you prepare. You're not wasting your time. You know what I mean? Because I take pride in that. You know what I mean? Again, now I'm prepared. Now it shows that now, and then we're both come prepared together. Now it's fulfilled. Now the opportunity does not seek out elsewhere. It's going through one side to the other, and it's flowing like currency continuously. So it's things
I
like
like
that,
that.
bro. Like, oh, bro, man, I get going, man. You get me warmed up, man. I'm sweating
You
right
know
now,
another
big
thing.
boy.
Devontae's funny. Another thing that you mentioned that I really like is the fact of looking at something from someone else's point of view. I feel like sometimes we get caught up in our own business. We get caught up in our own thoughts that we forget to do that. And that's what I had to do to keep my brain growing. I started saying, "Hey, what can I do to make the client's interaction, their whole process, so much better?" And I have to give thanks to my past clients because they allow me to fumble the ball. We get the closing. Don't get me wrong. I've only lost one foul that I actually had under contract that didn't go to closing. Thank God he gave me another shot and we got him closed. So I made up for it. So in my life, of all the loans I've done, only one. And then he still came back to me because my customer service and my my connection to him, still, I apologize because what ended up happening is I'm not gonna say a name because I don't like. Sometimes the people don't like to be named. But quick story is so he was buying a house. He was a pastor, not was is a pastor. So what a pastor is, some of the income was considered cash, and he didn't. I think it was under the amount or something like that, or his pay stubs was split. I can't remember. Don't beat me up if you hear this podcast. I almost said your name. Well, his name is Alan. I won't say your last name. And he was a pastor, is a pastor, and I'm an oxymoron, right? I said I wasn't gonna say it, I'm supposed to
Yeah, I was like, damn. All
say
right, which one we gonna pick? Hot potato.
it. So anyway, we was doing it, and when we calculate his income, we didn't have all the receipts for the cash. So it fell that he was short by like a minute amount, but it was enough that the bank was like, "Hey, we can't approve the loan anymore." And I was like, "But he does have the money, like," and he ended up losing the house, right?
Mm,
So I felt like I was able to get him
mm,
his money back because we had a denial letter and stuff like that. So he got his money back, but I felt horrible because he lost it, and on top of that, he already lost his lease because he was about to close on his house. So you're not thinking that at like I'm talking about the closing date. It was like a week before closing. This happened,
mm,
and I just felt like crap. So I was apologizing to him. I explained to him what happened, and even after, like I did a day, I said, let me know if I can help you find an apartment. Like I felt bad because it was my fault as a loan officer to catch that, and I didn't. I didn't catch it. My junior loan officer didn't catch it. The processor didn't catch it. Like it fell through everyone. Underwriting didn't catch it, and it went to the end. Like final underwriting is what caught the mistake. But due to me understanding that and going through that mistake, I learned other steps on how to make sure that we don't it doesn't happen again. Then thank God, I think it was like a year later, a year and a half later, he hits me. I'm like, "Hey Malcolm." I was like, "Oh Alan, what's up?" Blah blah blah. He's like, "Yo, I'm looking for buy a house." I was like, "Okay." It's like, "I want you to do my loan officer," and it was a shock
mm,
to me because it was like,
mm,
you really want to trust me again with this?" And I said, "Alan, I guarantee you, we will not make that same mistake again." He had
mm,
the smoothest closing because boy, I went through this with a fine tooth comb to make sure everything was
mm,
good. And then even to this day, we still talk. But it was that constant thing and going back to the past clients, like, "Hey, what can you do?" Like I had one client, her name was Larissa, and she was like, "Hey, Malcolm, I love the process, everything, but what you could do to make it better is if you can show the steps of what's coming next." So then fast
mm,
forward, the app where it gives you like it's like a train stop. So once you get approved, it says approved. Then once it goes to in contract, it shows another. You have a C for contract. So clients now could go on their phone and they get notified when I get notified. Like once the banks notifies me that the document's in, and like I think 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later, they get a notification on their phone and they can see the steps that are coming next. So it's like
mm.
going through those mistakes and finding out with your clients allows you to make your systems so much better. But if you don't keep that mindset on what can I do to make their relationship better, for their experience better when working with me, I'll never know because I could just keep thinking of what I need to do as a loan officer to get more business, but never stopping to think about what can I do to help my agents. Because the more I help Devontae and other agents like that, the more business I have a potential chance to get in. Because yes, Devontae can't give all his clients to me, but he can refer them to a group of real loan officers, and I could be one of them. You see how
Yeah,
that works? And then the same
facts.
thing with other clients. If you don't start thinking like, "Hey, what can I do to make this client happy?" So they even want to refer me to their friends and families, you'll never grow. But I love it. You definitely
Oh,
have
it's
to
deep.
switch your mindset.
Bro, it's deep. You hit on a lot, and that alone, literally, because again, now it goes back to just being a regular human being. You know what I mean? Now it's just a whole because now you gotta go back to it. Because again, by you being able to do that and be able to sympathize, empathize with that person, what they're going through. Now look how you've grown in that process. You create a whole nother system through that to make it easier for the next client to come through that process, so you don't get caught up in that process again. You know what? I commend you on that because it takes a lot of self awareness, accountability, and to be able to immediately apply that action And now look how much your business probably have already grown ever since then, because you was able to self-correct yourself in that process and be aware to, all right, this is how I gotta move forward, and be able to now be able to get blessed in abundance because of being able to do so. If you got so caught up in just being a loan officer and getting television like that, you literally cutting yourself off from being able to service so many other clients, and also streamlining and systemizing yourself. Because now I guarantee, because of that app, that you have that system, those checkpoints, now it probably gives you a lot more of your time back, because now the client has something to refer back to, and they're not contacting you. It's already communicated in that system, in that app, to know, oh, this is the next step. Oh, I'm right here. Oh, now I got to call Malcom. Like, all right, where I'm at. If I'm calling Malcom, it's for a purposeful reason or in-depth question. And now, there's
100%.
no stupid questions. It's not stupid questions, but at the same time, it just gives you back your time, and it also gives them their time to be able to know, and it also cools out their emotions. Bro,
And
genius,
it gets
man.
so much even it gets even better because I have it where the realtors could be on the deal. So now you are getting updates on what's going on with the client too. Like everyone is getting
Streamline.
updates simultaneously, and it's not extra work on me because the app just does it as soon as it goes through the file. The app just sends it out, and it has a glossary, so clients are able to learn information. It has a calculator, so they don't have to always call me for calculations, which I have no problem doing. But this way, it gives them that extra power if they see something real quick, like, oh, let me see what my mortgage payment might be. Boop, boop, boop. You know what I mean? And it just empowers them more. I like that word. It empowers them because
Yes.
our end of the day, like one of my red flags for people who are looking to get loan officers and stuff is that if they aren't willing to teach you or help you actually understand the process, that's a red flag to me. Because
Yep.
our goal is to educate you so you make the best decision. It's not my job to make all the decisions for you. I'm not the one living in the house. But
Bro.
my job is to be a teacher. And the same thing with this podcast. The reason why we do this is like people, I tell people all the time, like, yeah, I make money off of YouTube, but I don't make much. Like, I'm not making millions of dollars off of YouTube. Like,
Yeah.
the reason why I started the YouTube, the reason why I'm doing this podcast is even if only one person hears it, that's one person that we impacted and we help
Yes.
change the trajectory of their life because our job is
Exactly.
to teach. I always feel like we are teachers first and then a loan
The
officer, and then a
professional.
realtor. But if I don't teach you, then I failed on my job because you still are no better. You got the house, but you don't understand that you have insurance to pay for, the taxes changes. Like you don't understand the process. And if you do decide to go forward and buy another house, which most people tend to buy 3 to 5 houses in their lifetime, you're still stuck. You're still in the same place. Like, I don't know. I bought a house, but how many times has that happened to you? Someone comes to you, yeah, I bought a house like 3 years ago or 5 years ago or 10 years ago, but I don't really remember like what happened because you could
The
tell,
process.
yeah, they don't remember, and you could tell because they're
Yeah.
not using the same people. If
Exactly.
they had a good interaction or a good closing experience, they will come back to the same people. So if they're going to someone else, that means somewhere down the line, someone didn't do what they needed to do to make them memorable enough,
Memorable. Yep.
or you just ain't do a good job, and they're like, yo, I would never use. I remember him, but it's because he did such a horrible job. I will never use him ever again.
Bro, that's fact. Bro, we on the same vibe, the same frequency, because the same thing. That's another red flag. Again, I'm literally copying your red flag, because I feel the same way. If the agent is not educating you on that process, fire their ass ASAP. Like seriously, because it's like, what's the purpose? Like, what are you? It's all right. You get the house, but you need to know why. You need to know the purpose, each step. So then that way, now I'm carbon copying myself. Now you get to tell. I ain't even gotta be the agent for the next person, but you tell somebody in your family down the line, this is what you expect. Because a lot of times, especially with our culture and with our people in the minority group, is that the lack of education, the lack of knowledge of being able to, one, be able to buy a home. And the thing is, the renting process, because again, it's comfort. You know what I mean? So again, it's the mindset, and then it also enters. And it's crazy because you probably saw this. Like I did a career day for youth
Yeah, I saw.
in
I
New
saw.
Haven.
I was doing a little homework too. I was a little light
Oh
stalking.
yeah, you got you, bro. I take it as a compliment, brother. But yeah, but the biggest thing with me with them, and it's crazy because if I could go back, right, I would have gotten real estate straight out of high school. I would have become an agent straight out of high school. You know what I mean? Like I would have not gone to college, because again, like It's just that having experience, and that
After
one
this video, I
actually
got to tell you a story though, but I can't talk about it on this video yet because I didn't set everything up. But it's funny that you mentioned
got
that.
you.
But we're gonna get back to that.
I all right, I got you. But yeah, and the thing is like, and they asked me this deep. I'm thinking like, yo, this is for me to give to them, but reality, they gave so much back to me. You know what I mean? Because the questions they asked and made me go deep. It was like, obviously, why do you got in real estate? But the thing that they asked me, which was it hit me was like, I want to be in real estate. It interests me, but it seems complicated. You know what I mean? I'm like, but what's complicated about it? You know what I mean? So it's like, and me actually, like I told him, like, anything worth having doesn't come easy. You know what I mean?
Ooh,
And the thing is, they're 13, 14, 15, and just me giving that genuine answer to them, like, oh, and it made them think, like, oh, wow, oh, then man, like, oh, maybe I should think about, because now it's like, all right, now, and I tell them, and I even went deeper. I even told them, was like, even being an agent, is a stepping stone. The biggest thing is like it's bigger. You gotta look at it since like even real estate developers. There's not a lot of minority real estate developers out here. So it's like I even named her like, hey yo, do some research on Don Peoples. Because think with our culture is like we look at all these NBA players or these rap stars, things of that nature, but now we're looking at people that are really making moves and making, changing the industries. You know what I mean? So giving
billionaire.
them billion with a B. Make, we might be creeping to a T, trillionaire. You know what I mean? So it's things like that, like to be able to plant that seed and make them think bigger. I'm like, yo, do you know what a real estate developer is? Like, I'm not even the fact that I'm bringing an agent. Everybody knows what an agent, but do you know what a real estate developer is? And then giving them that seed and having them go do their homework individually early on, and before you know it, that seed is going to blossom, and they're going to be able to harvest that. And now look, boom, boom, that's why it's so important to go back to that youth, because again, it goes back to that foundation and to be able to transcend this to a whole other level. Because it's not just for them, it's for us too as well. Because we have inner child in ourselves that we
A
wish we
hundred
would have
percent.
had somebody.
I feel like it's how can I say, it's like you said, the planting seeds. You're planting
Mm,
seeds. You're giving, but when that fruit comes up, you get to eat some of it too.
yes,
And
facts.
that's what happens when you give like purely from the heart. I feel like you give it into someone else, but it comes back into you also. So it's like that
Exactly.
flourishing. So, but I am a little mad at you. You didn't put a video up when I was snooping. I saw pictures. I was like, yo, where the video at? I wanted a
Oh
video of you
yeah,
talking to the kids. I was like, yo, either he's holding it because you batching out your content, or he just
yeah.
don't want to show us that part.
Oh no, actually, the thing is, I do. It's on my business page. So the thing is, I posted and I put on the story, but it was a little snippet. And that's the thing is too, as well as being able to carbon copy myself and be able to again learn the experience, do more of that because I have so much value to give. You know what I mean? But a lot of it is being trapped inside myself. Like what we doing right now is huge, bro. Like this inspiration. You know what I mean? To be able to like, all right, I need to do more of this and be able to come to you like, yo, bro, Malcom, like, yo, what are these tools and systems you're using? Because I want to be able to do this and have you on my pocket, and then we just eat together. You know what I mean? Like collaboration is key. And again, be able to get all of that ego side, or even being in fact being my own worst enemy in my own head and self sabotaging myself. Because we also got that imposter syndrome. And like, man, I'm doing this, I'm here, but why am I supposed to be here right now? You know what I mean? Like, bro, yo,
Yo,
we feeling
I
it.
struggle with that. I've definitely struggled. Even now, sometimes I struggle for that. People like, yo, Malcolm, you're doing so well and stuff, and I'm like, am I supposed to have this? Is this allowed for me to have what I've accomplished? Being minority, being my mom came from Trinidad from herself. Like, am I
Mm,
allowed to have this? Like, at one point, my wife had to help me with this. Like, I didn't think I deserved to be happy. I said I didn't work hard enough to enjoy things. Like, that's how I felt. Like, I was like, I I need to work harder because there are people who I felt were counting on me, and I'm not working hard enough to get to enjoy myself. So I kept moving the success meter further away from me before I can say, yeah, I'm actually successful, because I still need more. I started using dollar signs. I need more money in my bank account, and
need it,
it was like I was going through it. Um, but yeah,
bro. I'm
yeah, I'm still
sorry, but
working on it. It's still, I'm not 100% there, but I am learning, and that's why I say in the podcast, it's the journey. And one of my friends, Marshall, who hopefully I'll have him on this show soon. He always says, Malcolm, trust the process and enjoy the journey, because at the end of the day, it's the journey where you go through it. I think Warren Buffett might have said it too. He said, it was either Warren Buffett or Jeff Bezos, one of them. They said that it's easier to create $10,000 versus then save it. And when you're going through that process, that's when you actually learn. Because someone can just give you the money, but what did you learn from it? How can you duplicate that if you don't learn it? And that's why you have to go through the journey and the process. So these ups and downs that we're going through are, at least in my head, I think is going to make us strong. Because right now, Lord knows, like I had a flip that went horrible, and it's like in this real estate. That's another reason why I wanted this podcast, is because it's real. Like flips go wrong, and I had a flip go totally wrong.
Oh,
Like I'm talking about totally, like bad investment, 200 and something $1,000, like destroyed. And it's like now to fight that and still overcome it and still work, and having to know that you have to learn from it. This is part of growing. It's definitely
yeah,
difficult.
you learn from your losses than you do from your wins. But bro, like I'm biggest thing even right now, like this is so important because I gotta communicate this, right? So my laptop's about to die. And there's
All
no
right, let me stop the podcast now.
yeah, because I
Perfect.
want this to
Let
be
me
touching
stop
a
the podcast
lot,
so we can
bro.
upload. I'm sorry, Real Estate Filter. We got to stop it because I want to make sure we catch this before his real estate, his
Yes.
his his laptop dies.
Laptop
We
die.
probably will
Yes.
do a part two because I still have more questions for you.
Yes.
But over at
Yes, bro,
Devontae, we
please.
appreciate you.